What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going. Pretty good. Pretty good. Make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. And when you guys go there, you can share it with the people that you know. You can see how you can follow the podcast there. You can actually watch the podcast there. You can listen to it there. You can also find ways to support the show on our website. Just click the support the show tab, and you can shop through Amazon through that link, and that helps us out. And what's up, babe?
Nothing. You go.
All right. And we'll tell you more about that later.
All right.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
It feels like it's been forever.
Were you worried that you weren't going to remember how to start this thing?
No, it just feels like a very long time because we recorded. So what happened? I just got back from India. I was gone for about 18 days.
Yeah.
And prior to leaving to India, we knocked out like 4 episodes back to back. So we haven't been in the podcast room recording for quite some time.
It's been almost a month.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. And it feels
like it's been almost a month.
Yes, it really does.
It's going to take a little bit to get comfortable again.
No, I'm comfortable. It just feels like it's been a bit.
It has been.
Yeah.
So there's obviously been a lot that's been happening.
Yes.
Since the last episode. Actually, the last episode, because I've been editing while Sonja's been gone. In the last one, we were talking about how you were probably still in India when that episode came out, which wasn't true. You were already back. That episode came out and you had already came back, but we recorded it because we knew it was going to be like, you land. We're not going to be recording as soon as you land, you know? So you've been back for about a week.
Yes.
Almost, right?
Yes. I'm just like, there's so much like going on in my head right now.
This is like co-host banter
and
podcast. We go back and forth. Then we share experiences.
Yes. And I know that a lot of you are wanting to hear the experience in India. And I had quite an experience.
An adventure.
In India. And it started off that way just because I am spontaneous. I am that person who likes taking risks and challenges. And it's like when I first made the decision to go to India, I had a group of girls that I was going to go with, but then they were unsure if they were going to go, and I had already committed. So I went on to this Facebook group page where a lot of people were talking about the event and people were attending the event, and I just put it out there in the world that I was looking for a travel buddy.
Yep. So
I didn't know this travel buddy that I ended up deciding to go with.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty cool, right? Everything was
falling into place.
Yeah, everything was, falling into place. And she was used to traveling very spontaneous, right?
Yeah.
So me, I'm, going out of the country without you.
Yeah.
On the other side of the world, and not knowing that there wasn't really a plan in place.
Right.
And what I mean by that is a lot of people that go to India normally have all their hotels planned out, scheduled out.
I think that's just travel.
They have tours, right? Like they're going, they're looking, like they're planning out. Like everybody that I know had a plan in place.
If you're going like a tourist.
Exactly.
Not like a seasoned traveler.
Right. So, but she had never been to India as well. I mean, she's been to Africa, Turkey, other places, but never to India itself. So the first night we get there, it's already challenging because it's late. It's like 11:30 at night. And getting to the hotel, it was a 3-star hotel. So I expected a 3-star hotel to be okay, but I wasn't thinking about where the hotel was located.
And you didn't know.
Right. I mean, from the pictures, it looked like a nice hotel. It looked okay. It looked, right?
They got you.
When we showed up, it was a hotel in India. So it was probably a 3-star hotel to India, right?
Yeah.
So when we get to this place, first of all, I'm looking around and I'm like already feeling unsafe as it is.
Oh, geez. Not the way you want to start off a trip.
Right. Just looking around and I'm like, this doesn't look like a very safe place to be. We're actually, in the middle of India in New Delhi. And we walk into the hotel and, the manager's really nice. Everything's going fine. He's a great guy. And then I walk into the room and I am just like blown away. Like
You're not liking what you're seeing.
Not at all. It's like below a Motel 6 here in Arizona. And a Motel
in a rough part.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And the mattress wasn't. I lifted up the sheets and I'm like, okay. I'm looking around. I can hear everything that's going on the outside. Everything. The walls were like paper thin. Yeah. Very loud, very chaotic. The room felt very cold. There were lamps that were broken, dirty. They were supposed to be white. They're brown. Right?
Sounds like a horror movie.
They're barely hanging on.
Holy crap.
Barely hanging on.
Yeah.
And, my girl's hungry. And I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to hide in this room. I don't want to go anywhere. And it's 11:30 at night.
Jeez.
But I decide, okay, whatever. She's hungry. Let's go. Whatever.
Yeah.
So we go and we find a place and I'm not eating because I don't know what's safe to eat.
Are you in shock at this point? How long have you been in India?
Babe, I just got to India.
Okay. So a couple hours.
I just got to India. Yes.
So are you
By the way,
shock?
the driving, most people thought that I enjoyed the drive. I'm like, this is like a roller coaster.
Oh my God.
I was okay with their crazy driving.
Yeah.
Because, New York, when we were in New York, people were nuts. But over here, there's no lanes. It's
it's a
get in where
free-for-all.
you fit in. Yeah. But I didn't mind that.
It was like Gandhi, take the wheel.
Because, you know why? Because I looked at videos prior to, and they are the best drivers.
Yeah.
So I knew hey, he knows what he's doing. He's a great driver. All right, I'm good. I'm down. Right?
Yeah.
So I was fine with that. But anyways, the woman that I was with was it's almost like she put fear into me of India. Right? A certain,
before you got there?
Before I got there,
it was
on
just
the way there.
Was it the pre-warning to getting to India?
Right.
Type of thing?
It's like everyone's out to get you kind of deal, right? Everyone's out to get you. Me, I'm love. I'm light, right? Smiling and just being friendly, saying hi. That's who I am. And I had to hide her.
Yeah.
And it took a bit. It was very hard for me to not be myself.
Yeah.
So I already had this fear within. So then we're going out. There's men everywhere, and we're sticking out like a sore thumb.
Right.
Not only that, but she was very...
When you say men everywhere, what do you mean?
Cold. Just men gawking, just looking.
What were you walking the streets at this point?
Yes. So we were looking for an auto. Yeah.
The streets were busy?
All the time. Honking, constant loudness, just... It was very loud,
chaotic.
Very chaotic. And I couldn't even get quiet time in my room because I can hear...
Through the paper thin walls.
Exactly. So we go out to
painting
eat.
A picture
And the
here.
owner... Good. And the owner's a nice guy, right? Nice guy. But I'm not feeling safe and I'm not wanting to really eat much. And when we leave, we have an auto driver. And the lady that I was with was very rude to him.
Yeah.
I guess they agreed on one amount, and when he dropped us off, she said that he tried to change the amount. A young guy. And when we were getting out, she paid him, and then he showed us a picture of his daughter, and he's like, I have a child I need to feed.
Yeah.
And he was upset and called her a fraud. And I didn't have any rupees at that time, because if so, I would have given him, because I felt like he was a sincere guy. Like I felt that. But the first thing I'm thinking is this guy knows where we're staying, and she just got him upset. And then we walk into the room, and the owner is sleeping on the couch in front of, almost like in our room, by our room, sleeping
outside
on the couch.
Your room?
Yes.
Okay.
Like in the lobby. The lobby's right here. Our room's right there. So I start thinking to myself, is he laying out here because it's that unsafe?
Yeah. He's
to
protecting
kind
our
of
stuff.
protect us. I mean, your thoughts just, it's
Holy
just,
crap.
And it was like that for a while of just feeling unsafe, not knowing.
For days?
Yeah. Yeah. Getting on a bus to go from New Delhi to Jaipur. This bus was supposed to be like a Greyhound bus.
Yeah.
And the drive to the bus being in a vehicle full of men, not knowing where we're going, not sure if they're taking us where we're supposed to be,
when
where
you
they're
say
supposed
bus,
to be taking us.
What type of bus? What do you mean? Is it like a regular, like a school bus type thing?
No, it was supposed to be like a Greyhound bus.
Okay.
So I was thinking no stops, right? Just from Old Delhi to Jaipur. And that's not how it was. And the men towards women it's like, it's cold. It's like, get on. Like, it's just very, I don't even know how to.
Is it like the women are less than over there?
Yes. But I don't know if it's just because it's us. You understand?
Maybe.
Because we're different. We look different.
You're foreigners.
But too, I don't know if it was just my human eyes seeing what I was seeing because of the thoughts and the fear that was installed into me. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And I have a good feeling that it was, because once I decided to take charge of our travel journey, then I started to see things in light.
Yeah.
God, there's just so much to share. There was,
I've had that feeling that you were talking about, where kind of like where you're, like you say, like you look at people, right? Mm-hmm. When you talk to them, and when you were there, it was like you don't look at anybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That reminds me of like growing up in New York. In New York, it was like that, And then when I moved to Florida, I told you, like, it was different. Like the neighbors would be like, hey, good morning. Then I'd be like, the fuck is wrong with that guy?
Right.
Why is he telling me good morning? I don't know him. But then little by little, you start getting used to it or whatever. Yeah. But it seems like kind of that might have been, on a lesser level, I think.
Yeah. Like, I feel that it was my thoughts getting the best of me, and because of what was implanted into, like, my belief about
what it was going to be like?
India.
Yeah.
Yes. And the reason why I say that, there were a lot of situations where I felt so unsafe, and I couldn't express this to you when we were on the phone, because I didn't want you to worry about the situation that I was in.
You did a good job.
Thanks. But it was just terrifying, really. It was terrifying. And just the entire event, I realized that I had to take control. I didn't want the rest of my journey to be filled with fear.
Yeah.
Because I heard a lot of good things about India, but my experiences are dark. And the person that was with me, had some things maybe that were not a lot, that were not revealed to me. And I was picking up on her energy as well.
Yeah. And it was affecting you too.
Right. So we end up, and it's funny because if you go to see my Facebook page, I was doing lives trying to share what I was feeling at that moment, but I was also playing safe because I knew you were going to be watching them.
Yeah.
So I had to be careful with what I was saying. But if you really look into my eyes, you can see the fear.
I'm going to have to go back and watch them again.
Yeah, like my sister, I talked to her. I visited her the other day and she's like, yeah, I just started praying for you. And so we had, and it's funny because it was like an emotional roller coaster, really. Because in New Delhi, we saw the Lotus Temple, which was beautiful. I had a spiritual connection there, just, praying and meditating, and the people that I was introduced to there were a lot of tourists there. There were people that spoke English there. I felt safe there. So I had moments where I did feel safe and I got to enjoy India.
Yeah.
Right. But it was mixed in with everything. Like Agra, when we went to go see the Taj Mahal. What a beautiful, beautiful experience to be there and to witness and to see and to get to, talk to individuals and just be with self in that moment. So there was a lot of beautiful moments that I had. And a lot of those beautiful moments were mixed in with fear and feeling unsafe and uncertain and feeling like I had no control. And it was a great learning experience. The entire India journey was what I needed in order to get me to become a great coach.
Yeah. How was that?
Well, I'm not done yet, but so, my best memories, it's funny. Well, okay. So some of my best and challenging moments were in Jaipur.
Okay.
So Jaipur was a lot slower than New Delhi and Agra. It was a very spiritual place. People there were more open, more, and it could be because I had other people on this journey with me that I knew.
Okay.
Right? That we were
ones
that I was familiar with.
You met up with some people over there.
But in Jaipur, if you go onto our Facebook or into my Facebook, it was so beautiful. The hotel, by the way, this is when I started to take charge. I'm like, okay, you are no longer able to book the hotels. Yeah. Like I am planning this journey. The
rest of the trip.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So I started making calls to people I know. Hey, where are you staying? And then my really good friend, Anne Marie told me where she was staying and referred me to this other hotel that was near her, which was absolutely beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And I had some really great moments there where we're waking up with chanting, like prayers.
Oh, yeah. That was a cool video.
Yeah, watching the monkeys. I haven't put that video up actually, but
I haven't seen the monkeys yet.
No? Okay, I got to show you that video. I open the window and I see these monkeys everywhere. Like they're on the ground playing, they're in the trees, jumping from one tree to the other, and so cute just to watch them play. And it reminded me of our kids. Really, just so playful, just so free of, just playing. And then all of a sudden, so I'm recording this, and all of a sudden I hear yelling, and I turn my camera, and it's this guy running out of his I don't know, his house or
apartment
wrapped in a towel, shooing these monkeys away because they were taking his clothes off the clothing, the hanger, the clothesline. Yeah. And it was so funny. And then he caught me. He's like, "Oh, hey." And he waves hi,
in the video?
I'm like, "Hi." Yeah.
Oh,
and
fun.
he's in a freaking towel, so there was some really, really great moments there,
That's awesome.
But then I was introduced to something else that kind of made everything.
Yeah.
It's like a, I don't even know how to talk about this, but it's honestly, my journey is going to be my book.
Yeah.
With everything.
Yeah. You said that, today? Was it this morning or was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
After
meditating.
Yeah. You said that your book is going to be about your trip in India.
Yes. Because I don't think, for instance, I wasn't really a believer when it came to psychics or gurus or, stuff like that. Like, it's funny because I believed in the supernatural. Like, I believe in spirits and, because of my spiritual experience with my sister, I know that there was more than what the human eye can see. But I didn't know to what level. And we were introduced to a guru, and he told me my entire life, my past from my future, and knew everything about me. And I think there was so much that happened with that, but I'm not going to get too much into that. If you want to hear about that, you're just going to have to read my book.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But this is what I will say about that, is that it opened me up to what else is out there.
Yeah.
And so much happened after that time that I'm not gonna get into, but it changed. I don't feel the same.
Like you're different from that point.
Yes. And I never really looked up gurus and what's all involved in any of this until I guess after it happened, right? After it happened.
Yeah.
But there was something about that interaction that opened me up. I already knew that I had a gift of intuition and empathy. But this was on a much, much higher level. And it freaked me out.
Yeah.
Because I felt so different. I didn't feel. It's almost like a rebirth. Like the old me was in here, but it's now.
Is it like a phoenix? See?
But what I can tell you is that, when you go through, because I'm so open, like to learn, to discover, sometimes it can get you into a situation that you don't want to be in. But I feel that I had to go through this in order to get to my next level, that I had to go through this to understand that there's more to life than what we see with our human eyes. That there is a spiritual realm. And while I'm going through this, I'm thinking to myself, how is Miguel going to take this? Like I'm thinking to myself, I can't go home the way I am. There's so much more that I'm not sharing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how am I going to go home to my husband the way I am?
You're saying like knowing the way that I think and the way I feel.
And the way I am feeling and the way I am today. I mean, when I called you, I was going through this transition and I can read you like a book. I could read people like a book.
Yeah.
And I would connect to them on such a deep level. So when I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you and I'm also feeling what's going on with you at home. But when we were now that you know about the situation, was there a difference that you seen in me?
At that time, you did seem different. Like I could tell that, but at the same time, I also.
But what's different? Explain why.
Well, kind of like I was asking you before, like were you in shock, from being in India? And it seemed like at that time, like maybe you were still having experiences. Like that's what I was thinking. Like I was thinking like you're still having some of those India experiences because it's different. Like we've traveled to different places in the world, but it's not India, and I know India is going to be, you're going to see some things that it's going to have an effect on you. That's what I thought was happening. I didn't know to the extent.
When you said different, what was different?
It just.
Was it the way I spoke? Was it the way I acted? Was it the way?
It was kind of the way you spoke and the way you looked, I guess, and the way you acted. I guess because we talked some. I mean, yeah, we had conversations while you were during that time. We had a few. But it didn't really get like super deep like we usually do. But at the same time, it's like you're in India, The connection's different. You're going through some things. And that's kind of the way I was thinking, Yeah. Like I know you're going through a lot. And a 3-minute, 4-minute video call is not going to do it. Like that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, I know that's what I saw. It's like you're probably going through some experiences. Yeah. But it was more than that. A lot more than that.
So then it's what's so so after this guru, I became very, very sensitive to energy. Like I can read I can see people. I'm going to freak some people out right now. And I still can, but I can control it. When I went to my event, after all this happened, there were a handful of people. Actually, there was more than a handful of people who knew me prior to me meeting that guru, which I say cracked me open.
Right.
And I remember having this conversation with Harry, who's also going to be in my book. He just doesn't know it yet, but he's going to share his experience with me after this happened. But him and I was sitting down because I was getting very woozy from all the energy that was going around because there were so many people there. And so I was sitting down in a corner, and normally I'm the social butterfly. I'm the one out there talking and conversing.
This is like a conference event with lights and.
Yes. So we're having a networking event though prior to the event that's happening the following day. So I'm sitting down and, my brother Harry comes up and he's looking at me and he's like, sis, he's like, how did it happen so fast?
Yeah.
And I'm like, India. Because I knew what he was talking about, because I could look at him and he can look at me and we can read each other's. It's like no words were needed to be shared. We just connected on such a deep level. And it was hilarious because some girl came by who wanted to talk to me. And she's like asking me questions and Harry's there. And she's like, when did you arrive in India? And at this point, I had already been there for over a week. And I tell her 2 days ago, and Harry understands exactly what I'm talking about, like the Enlightenment. Like, I just arrived.
Yeah.
And him and I started laughing so bad. And then when she had left, him and I were just laughing. God, I had some great laughs with him. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, Harry, I don't know how I'm going to go back to my husband. He's going to be like, where's my wife? What did you do to my wife? Where is she? But it's almost like you had to be there to get it. But we had, it was just crazy the experience that I went through after this. But then all this was good, but then it started to get a little weird.
How did it get weird?
Because it was hard for me to, I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't told. He didn't warn me, by the way, you're going to be super sensitive to energy.
Yeah.
So these are the things you need to do, or this is what, it was just thrown on me.
Yeah, you had no idea what was coming.
Right. And that's what made it very shocking to me, because I was feeling it all at once.
Yeah.
And I am someone who didn't believe in this stuff. So I think what happened was he told me everything that was happening, like past and future and things that had happened. He knew everything about us, just very detailed. I then became a believer of the unseen. Even though I said, like, I believed in spiritual, like I've had spiritual experiences.
Well, you believed it before, though.
But not to this level. Not to this level.
Okay.
I told you I felt like I was in a Harry Potter movie. Right?
Yeah, you did.
Like all those that had the insight were invited to this event. And those that had the insight were able to connect and communicate with each other with no words being spoken, but feeling one with each other. Like the vibration, energy, just being one with each other. Not having to say a word, but knowing each other. Like to the core.
Yeah. That's cool.
And there's so much more to share, but just this is what I know.
Oh, I just came up with a TV show.
100% is that I was surrounded by light.
I just came up with a TV show. It's called Hippie House.
Hippies.
You put a bunch of hippies in a house, and you're all supposed to be light, but then you got the one that's not as hippie as the rest of them, and then stuff starts happening.
What I know is that in order to be light, we all have dark within us, right? We all have dark thoughts, right? Yeah. Or we all have done things that we're not proud of. It's like yin yang. You have to have and witnessed one to appreciate the other. And I think that's what this lesson was for me. And what I know is that Christ was with me every step of the way. Like I felt Jesus the entire time. And I heard like just it's like that protection of light.
Yeah. Well, you guys were staying at a Christian place at the end of the trip, right?
At the end. But I'm saying even before that, I felt protected. Like I heard, like this, what took place with that guru was not a good thing for me. That's what I'm going to say. It wasn't a good thing for me. Because I started to feel like it was powerful, super powerful. Most people would eat this up and run with it. But once I started to shift and started to really, when I started, because I had, my Bible app, once I started to tune in and read and pray, things started to become more clear. And then I found out later on that I had others praying for me as well. Feeling that dark lift and the light surround me, I started to feel more whole, and I started to understand like what was happening. And once that occurred, I made the shift. And I had humans in angel form, like people around me that saw me, that knew me and knew something was off.
Yeah.
That would approach me and talking to me and then started praying over me and kind of helping me through it.
Yeah, you said that one of them invited you up to their room to give you food and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. She just noticed, like, and this is all new to me, like grounded, she's like, you need some food, to ground you. I'm like, what does that mean? See, and I think that's what it was, is that I was not educated enough on all this stuff.
Yeah.
That, and I'm so glad that they were there, because once I had those around me that were helping me to understand what was happening within, really, and taking care of me.
Yeah.
I started to feel grounded. And once I started praying and I started to feel as if I was coming back to myself, like my human self. I know this sounds ridiculous. I know it does.
Yeah.
But I felt Christ around me the entire time, like especially once I started to come back around, and I started to recognize what was happening, and I made the shift. Then things started to turn around.
Yeah. You said that when your friend took you up to their room,
yes,
and they were giving you food, and it wasn't food that was like
processed.
because I think you said that she was saying that you shouldn't have any processed food,
right? And that's what
that
we were.
You needed something
right.
healthy, something natural,
right?
Right,
right.
And that when you were eating that food, that it helped you feel grounded,
right?
right.
And
I wanted to ask you a little bit more about like the food and how you felt over there. But before we do that, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you guys go to our website, you can watch the podcast there. Like I said, you can listen to it there. You can see all the ways that you can follow the social media. You can support the show by going to our website. And while you're there, you can find us at Opposite Pod on all of the social media, just the symbol at Opposite Pod. Or you can search Opposites Attract Podcast on any of them, and you'll be able to find us. We're on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of them. Just search it. You'll find us. Spotify, all the podcast apps. So yeah, when you're on our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com, you can click on the Support the Show tab. When you click on that, it'll take you to our Amazon link. Anything that you purchase through that link doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps us out, and we get a little kickback. So we definitely appreciate that. And another way they can support the show is
if you would like to buy us a virtual coffee, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod.
There you go. And you can also support on a monthly basis on buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod. And if you want to give us a call, what are you laughing at?
Hurry up, finish. I got something to share.
I was going to say something after this. Also, if you guys have a question, because it's going to be tough to like summarize 18 days of India into a 1 hour podcast or a couple 1 hour podcasts. So if there's something specific that you want to know about, something that you want to know more about that Sonja's kind of talked about, you guys can give us a call. If there's any messages that you guys want to leave us, you can be anonymous. You don't have to leave your name. You can call us at 480-331-9846. So before what?
Wait, so
what?
You know how I used to always say that I want to be the Mexican Oprah?
Yeah.
What does she do on Super Soul Conversation?
I don't know.
She interviews individuals that have had spiritual experiences.
Oh, really? Dang.
Do you know how
That's gonna be
many
you.
individuals I have that I can interview right now?
Yeah.
Tons.
I know. You've met a lot now.
Yeah. And these are the things. Yeah. Wow. That just unfolded.
That's crazy.
While
That's
you
cool.
were doing your stuff, I just, boom, it just came up.
You blanked out and went into a different dimension. That's what you were doing while I was
but serious.
doing our ads.
Yeah.
480-331-9846.
A podcast on spirituality or whatever the name's going to be. I have it laid out. I have so many people.
That's your podcast. We'll set it up. We're getting the office ready for that.
Yeah.
Which is something I was working on while Sonja was gone. But anyway, back to what I was talking about before, like a good podcaster. So you were saying like that the food was helping you feel more grounded, right?
Right.
And before you left to India, you were already like eating healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were being careful with what you were eating, what you're putting into your body.
Yep.
You're eating kimchi, we're
Mhm.
drinking kombucha,
Mhm.
green tea, you know, all
Mhm.
the like taking care of yourself.
Yes.
But it seems like since you've been back from India, it's even more different. Like you came back gluten-free. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn near vegan. So, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like has there been a difference even in just the way you see food and how you eat since you've come back from India? Because the last episode was all about health, in case you don't remember that from 3 weeks ago. You don't know. You don't know what the hell the last I know. I only know because I was editing a couple of days ago.
So I'm telling you, there's a shift that happened within. I'm more calm now.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Like,
your hands are a lot more wavy and calm.
Flowy. Like I am so at peace. I am very calm. My love radar is 10 times. How has sex been for you, buddy?
The love radar has been pretty good.
Yeah, like I'm just more in tune with. I was loved before, right?
You were.
But where would you say I am now? Like if I was loved before, then where
it's
am
love
I at
2.0.
But seriously,
yeah.
You know, the way I hold the kids it's gentle. I just want to.
It's gentle compared to before. We're like, come here.
Babe, tell me I wasn't rough.
You've been rough, babe. But no, since you came back, that's what I'm saying. You're a lot more flowy.
I'm like, choke me. No. And now it's like, I just want.
It's a lot more.
Yes. You know, even like when we make love, I just want to feel your heartbeat against mine. It's just, I feel the difference with how I am, who I am, the way I act, the way I respond, the way I love, the way I eat. I want vegetables. I want fruit.
You've been wanting
nuts, all kinds of nuts.
I can't help it but think shit when you say it's just immature.
You know, I that's what I'm wanting. I'm just wanting more fresh food, and I don't know. There was just a huge shift that occurred.
Yeah.
And you hear people say, "Oh, you go to India, you're not going to come back the same." And a lot of times they're referring to gratitude, right? Like appreciation of where you live. I had that prior to, right? Like I had that prior to going to India. I knew how blessed we are to be living here in the United States and where we are. And, you know, we do have like a lot of homeless in Phoenix. And, you know, I still felt the same way. You know, in India, yeah, you see more of it, but they're happy, right? And this is where the shift happened, right? Because when I became more in tune with my higher self, the God within, right? Christ, when I aligned, I don't even know what to call it, but when I became more in tune with the God within, I started to see light everywhere. I was no longer fearful of India. I felt like I belonged in India. I didn't mind walking solo. I knew that I needed to make some changes. So the lady that I was with, I had to let go.
Yeah.
Right? Even though, you know, and I just came from love. I just, you know, I told her, it's just like, you know, we're really different individuals and
you're not compatible.
And yeah, and I feel that it's time that we go our separate ways.
Yeah.
You know, and she was like, what are you talking about? I love you. And I looked at her and I said, but do you? You know, there was just something there. But I can tell you that, and you know this with me, how am I with conflict or in situations like this?
Yeah, that's a hard, and the way you did it, like you said, it's calm. Like you just kind of dealt with the situation.
Yeah.
And it's like you're not holding anything back, but you're also not being, it's not in an aggressive way.
Yeah,
it's just like it is what it is.
And I don't feel ill towards her. Like I learned a lot of lessons from her.
Yeah.
And I appreciate her being in my life for the time that she was in my life because I learned a lot from her. But to be able to speak up that way instead of avoiding the situation, right. Because a lot of times when it comes to conflict, that's something I steer far from. But this is the growth that happened for me in India, was being able to speak up when I felt that it wasn't for me or that it wasn't the right thing. Being able to say, sorry, or I can't do this, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because that's a challenge that I have always had. So when I did this, you and I had a conversation over the phone and I'm like, listen, I got to buy a different flight. Just like, this is what's going on and this is what I need to do. And then when I did it, you and I had spoke and you're like, I'm super proud of you.
Yeah.
Because that is something that would have been difficult for me, but it came easy because now I realized how capable and courageous I am. It's stepping into that masculine divine energy because you were not around to take care of my challenges or my conflicts. You weren't there to figure out, how to run certain apps or taking charge of the things that I needed to do, the flights I needed to buy, the hotels, the challenges I had when it came to trying to freaking figure out a hotel because my card wasn't working.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And when you and I got together, I was very full of masculine divine energy. I didn't need help for anything. Like, I got this. But then when you came into my life, you took a lot of that off of me. So then, and I completely went from masculine divine energy to feminine divine energy, and then gave you, because you don't even allow me to bring in a grocery bag. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will, but you're just like, I got this,
I am
babe.
a vacuum of masculine divine energy.
Like, you baby me, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a huge shift in me with that because I became complacent. It's just like, oh, like, you got this, right? And it would irritate you sometimes because you're like, just look it up, just blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna Google it,
right?
Like you can Google it,
right?
Yeah.
But because you did everything for me, I didn't have to. But during this journey, I had to step into that.
Yeah, there was a point in the trip that I remember, not to like pat myself on the back or anything, but there was a
But
point,
you're going to. No.
thanks, babe. No, but there was a time, if I can remember correctly, where you said that you didn't realize how much I did for you.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I mean, not that I didn't realize it.
Well, I know.
Trust me.
But it's like you're in another
it.
country now and you got to do this stuff.
Right. It's like.
Because it's true. Like I do, I handle a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But
you're
like,
amazing. You
like
just.
When you were saying that you had to get a trip, a flight, because now you're flying in India and you didn't have like tickets bought beforehand.
No. She wanted to take a train. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, after your bus experience,
nope,
you didn't want to take the train. You're like, we're flying from New Delhi to Mumbai, which is where your event was.
Yep.
And during that time, so you landed in New Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
You traveled to Mumbai. You flew from New Delhi to Mumbai by plane. Mm-hmm. You guys had your event there, and then you hung out in Mumbai for the rest of the trip, right? So it was 18 days, and you spent a good amount of time in Mumbai.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you were leaving, you had to fly back from Mumbai to New Delhi and then fly out. And the thing is that when you got to Mumbai, that's when you decided that you and your travel buddy were going to split.
Right.
So you guys had already got a ticket to Mumbai. Now you guys are splitting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you were kind of telling me stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, you guys got to figure out the hotel. And you're like, well, can you help me with the ticket? And I'm like, I didn't get you the ticket in the first place, So like, and you're like, all right, it was kind of like it was on. You're like, all right, I got it. And then, and I was like, just let me know what's going on. Like, I think I was helping with the credit card back home or whatever, but you were just like, all right, I got to get it done.
And she didn't have any cell phone service. She didn't know how to, I mean, it was like working with my mom.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, when it comes to technology, she was like, don't know.
Yeah.
But she put me in that situation to where I had to take control, which was good because it was, after the fact, I mean, it was very stressful. I was staying up late trying to just line everything up from flights within India to hotels within, India and going from one place to another. I mean, it was a lot of late nights, me just putting everything together so that I can enjoy India. Because at this point, I've been through so much mentally, physically that I did not want to remember India in this manner.
Yeah.
Because you hear a lot of good about, India. But my experience was dark until I made the decision that I was going to take charge.
Right. And then what I would like to spend the rest of the podcast on is another part of India that you got to see, which is like the end of your trip, right?
Yeah. We had about.
And that's when you went to that Christian place. It was like right on the beach.
So God will put the people in your life and you get to cipher which ones are for you, decipher which ones are for you, which ones are not for you. Right.
Right.
So the rest of my event was absolutely, beautiful.
That was the part of India that you needed to see.
So not only that, but those that were surrounding me. So I left detached from one, and then a whole new group, very spontaneous, came together.
Yeah.
Right? We had Harry, Christina, Anne-Marie. There were so many great individuals, but towards the end, it was Harry and Christina and I. And Harry is this young, easygoing, fun-loving, energetic Vietnamese, right? He's from Vietnam. And we, towards the end, we just were like brother, sister. Like we just all bonded on such a deep level. And he's like, hey, sis. He's like, would you like to go somewhere quiet and green and where we can meditate? And I'm like, heck yes. He's like, okay. He's like, I'm going to create this. So he ended up finding this beautiful place outside of Mumbai. It's still Mumbai, but it was outside.
Yeah.
And it was like an hour and 30 minutes away from where we were.
Outside of the city?
Yeah.
Okay.
And while we're going, we're thinking, oh my God, Christina and I are like, oh my God, as long as I have service, I'm okay. Because we're going into like,
is it sketchy?
the jungle. No, it looks like the jungle. Like very green. I mean, beautiful. But I'm like, oh my God, are we going to have any service? Like, how are we going to get? And this is the thought, your thoughts. Oh my goodness.
Like, hey, you remember that
one? Oh my goodness.
Babe, you remember that one time? Where were we at? I don't know if it was camping or we were in a cabin somewhere. And you remember Audrey's like, I'm going to die without Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes. But I'm just thinking, okay, well, we got to get an Uber driver, you know, and it's looking like we're going in the middle of the jungle. Beautiful birds, just so beautiful. And I'm enjoying this. But those freaking thoughts get the best of you. And Christina's like, oh no, like we're just like, this is far. And Harry is so full of life and so light. And he is like, oh, this is going to be great. Like he's just loving it, right?
Yeah.
And then we get there in our Airbnb. But right when we got there, we're like, okay, what are we going to do? And then we run into this young gentleman who helps with the Airbnb that we rented, which speaks English. He speaks English. So he was like, oh, you guys need to download Ola. It's another app like Uber. He's like, because they had problems getting us to our Airbnb because it wasn't on the map.
Okay.
Because we were right near the ocean, like right off the coast. And for some reason, it wasn't coming up on the map. So even if we ordered Uber, it wouldn't be able to find us. So I'm like, oh my God, thank God we ran into him. Could you imagine? That would have been a nightmare. So he had us download Ola and just started talking to us and showed us around. And I'm like, oh, great. Right. So he ended up hanging out with us and everything at that point in time. He started to share, this is a Christian based. He's like, yep, place. like, town. He said,
the town.
You don't have to worry about anyone overcharging you. You don't have to worry about anyone dropping you off somewhere you're not supposed to be. Because in New Delhi and all those other places, you got to worry about stuff like that. We didn't know that there was an Uber app in India until we met a gentleman who told us about the Uber app. He's like, do not take an auto or anything without going to Uber. Because then you don't know who you're getting and you don't know where they're taking you and it's up in the air.
Yeah, because they verify the drivers.
Right. So then I started to learn the ropes of India. And that's another thing that helped me to start feeling safe because I started to understand the way things work.
Yeah.
So, oh my goodness, we walk into this Airbnb and it's like paradise. Paradise. And it's all ours.
I was happy when I saw like that you like I was happy that you had found a spot because it seemed like you guys were very peaceful there.
Oh my goodness.
And it made me feel good that you were
thanks.
I'm
I'm glad.
Like able to relax and chill.
So, wow. I mean, you have banana trees, coconut trees, papaya trees, and it's huge. Like it is huge and it's all ours. We have hammocks, right? We have our place to sleep if we want to sleep indoor, but then we had our outer beds where they would come put them up every morning or take them down every morning and put them up every night with netting. And the ocean was right outside of our gate. So you could hear the ocean waves while we were like sleeping underneath the stars. It was awesome. Absolutely beautiful. And then there was a family who lived on the property. And I went and I wanted to learn how to cook their food and I wanted to help her. I didn't want to be like served. I wanted to help her. And it was so cute because she didn't speak English, but her sons did. And so when I went, when we, they were introducing us, she was asking us what we would like to eat because we were going to have homemade food morning for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Homemade food.
Yeah.
So when I found this out, I asked, can I help you cook? And she didn't want me to do any of the work. But she's like, you can come with me. At least her son was talking to me.
Come with me where?
To the kitchen. So
Okay.
I can be there with her and
While she's cooking.
hang out with her while she's cooking. And then she had two
That's cool.
kittens and a cat, and there were dogs.
Oh, I saw them in the window.
Yes, and it started to feel more like home because I was so homesick. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I was missing you guys. Whew. Like so much. And it was hard for me. Like your body just wants to be home. Right? Like I had such a strong pull.
Yeah.
And
I remember, you know what? I have a picture of one. I remember, I mean, mine wasn't 18 days. Mine was just a work trip, but it was my birthday. It was like one of those days. It's like you said, like your body, like you're somewhere else and your body just wants to be home.
It's such a strong connection, a very, very strong connection. And it was good for me because it's helping me to expand. This entire trip was helping me to expand.
Yeah.
And I just remember, seeing her, and she was my mom in Mumbai. Like that's what I'm like, she's making me
That sounds
tortillas.
good.
They don't call them tortillas in India, but they're tortillas. And while she's making them, I'm smelling them, and it's reminding me of my mom. It's reminding me of my grandmother. And she's such a beautiful lady. Like her smile. She dressed me in my sari.
Yeah, I saw that.
She showed
That was
me
so
how
cool.
to properly put it on. Like she dressed me. We washed our clothes by hands, hung them up on the clothesline,
Yeah.
and just, it was so peaceful there. And the experience was exactly what I needed. And I felt so safe. It's like you can feel the light, being surrounded by light. Everybody there was so happy. The kids on the beach who kicked the football up in the coconut tree, and them climbing up the coconut tree, and me witnessing it, and then talking to all the boys that were playing, and they were just laughing and having a good time, and me talking to them and them talking to me, and everybody in this little town was just so happy. And I needed that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I needed. And then we went to go visit the pagoda, a Buddhist pagoda. And that was just absolutely beautiful, amazing. And my meditation is so on point. Like I can get into a deep meditation pretty easy, pretty fast. And I remember the last time when we were there. So I'm meditating, right? I'm in it. Like I'm in it. Christina's next to me and she's meditating as well. And
so the pagoda, it's like a temple type place, right?
It's a Buddhist temple.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's like a spiritual. Is it a place that you can go in, or is it like all outdoors?
Only those that take this meditation course are able to go inside. Like Harry. Harry taken the course, so he was able actually to go in.
Is it like a monk type thing?
Maybe.
Okay.
I didn't even ask. Yeah. But you can they play the music outside, and there's a place for you that's lifted up, like what is it called? It's a lifted stage, not stage, but where you can meditate, and they
like
have
a platform.
a platform. And
raised platform. Yeah.
This is when I realized, like, I became an awesome meditator. And everyone there, when I'm walking in, they're like, "Oh, she's a meditator." Like because of the energy I was putting off, they just assumed that I was one of those.
Right.
So I'm sitting on this platform, and I am deep into meditation, just feeling one with God, And I can hear the laughter and people walking by. Like I'm very aware of my surroundings. And when it was time for me to get out of my meditation state, and I started to come back to myself, right? Like feeling my arm. Because everything, when you're in a deep meditation, it's just like you don't even feel yourself.
Yeah.
There's one point where I could feel my heartbeat. I can hear my heartbeat.
Yeah, you were saying that.
And I can feel the pulse throughout my body while I was meditating. And when I wake up, when I get out of my meditation state, Christina's like, you have an audience. And I look up and there is people, like all these individuals surrounding me taking pictures.
Did you have headphones in or anything?
No.
Just there.
Nope. No, I was just listening to nature. I mean, the birds, the wind. It was such a beautiful day. The laughter. You know, I can hear people walking by. Like, I'm very aware of my surroundings.
But you can still get there.
I had no idea that I had all these people. Like, it was a group of 30 maybe.
Yeah. How crazy.
Watching me.
That's cool.
And then when I came up and I opened my eyes, I just started laughing, and then they started laughing.
Yeah.
And I have a picture of.
Was it the students?
Not the students. It's like all the women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
So the pagoda, was that where you met the students? Because there was a couple pictures and some students that you connected with while you were there.
That was so fun. So I was just walking around like by myself. I was just walking around, and then this group of students came up to me and they're like, hey, where are you from? And then we just started talking, and then we just got into personal development. Like, they were, talking to me about personal development, and I was just doing what I do.
Yeah.
And they asked, they asked if they could take a picture, and we took a picture. And I was waiting for that picture because I know that they had followed me on Instagram, and I told them to tag me in the photo, but they ended up sending it to me through WhatsApp.
Okay.
And then he sent me a message, and I had told him I had volunteered at Joey's school for a career day for mindset and belief system. And he's like, ooh, even I would love to know about that. Like, and it was just so cool because they were so appreciative of learning. They just wanted to learn. Yeah.
That's cool.
Were
they from there?
Yes, they're from India. Different parts. Oh my goodness. India is so huge. I mean, the language, it's so crazy because even though they're all from India, they all speak different language.
Yeah.
Like, some don't even understand the others. Like, there was a gentleman who I was sitting by who, there was a group over here wanting to ask me questions. So they were telling him, because he knew English. So they saw that he was communicating with me, and they had questions that they wanted to ask me, but they were trying to ask him. But he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I don't understand their language. He's like, even though we're from India, he's like, there's hundreds of languages in India. And sometimes you don't understand.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm like, what? That's, wow. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So there's something that I want to ask you, but I wanted to know, like, you said that the last couple of days that you were there, you guys stayed at this Christian place, right?
Right.
And the pagoda that was there was nearby, was a Buddhist place, right? But you also said that you felt like Jesus was around you during that trip.
The entire time.
Right?
I felt like.
And I want to know, like, how maybe Jesus or Christianity, like, how it's different in India versus here.
I didn't know.
Next week, we have a lot to talk about still. And I'd like to get into that
next week.
Also, I'd like to talk about your time in Japan. Because you also you stopped in Japan for like a 15-hour layover.
Right.
And you also had some time there and some experiences there. You got to hang out with my cousins there.
Yes.
So that was also pretty cool.
Yes.
And then maybe I can also share some of the stuff that happened while you were gone.
When I came back and how you came back, received me.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, make sure you guys go to our website. Like I said before, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Make sure you guys follow us wherever you guys are already listening, but share this with people that you know. That's the best way to grow the podcast. Oppositesattractpodcast.com. Send us a message there. You can call us at 480-331-9846. Anything else? Of course you have more. You got tons more, but we'll save that for next week.
Thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract Podcast.
Where we get better
together.
Bye.
Bye.